Welcome to this training video on gaining insights from PROFITIZE Dashboards to make data-driven, smart, business decisions to become more profitable and bankable. In this video, we will guide you through the steps to navigate PROFITIZE Dashboards. Click on the Dashboards tab to navigate to Dashboards. Click on the Customers button to gain insights on your customers. Click on the Suppliers button to gain insights on your suppliers. Click on the Cashbox button to gain insights on your daily cash balance and to quickly detect if cash is missing. Click on the Cash Flow button to gain insights on your cash inflows, cash outflows, and net cash flow for specific customers, suppliers, or date range. Click on the Inventory button to gain insights on your gross inventory. You can also gain insights on your net inventory position by digitally integrating PROFITIZE with your inventory management system via API. Now, let's return to the Customers button and drill down a bit more. Click on the Date Filter drop-down input field to select a date range for filtering customer data. For example, let's select this year. Click on the Customers drop-down to select a specific customer for filtering data. For example, let's click on the Select All checkbox to select all customers. Let's scroll down to the Revenues chart to view detailed revenue information for the selected customers. Hover over various sections of this chart to display the amount of revenue and the percent of total revenue from each of my customers. Let's scroll down to the Cash In chart to view detailed revenue information on customers who pay me cash when I deliver my goods or services. Let's scroll down to the Accounts Receivables chart to view detailed revenue information on customers who do not pay me cash when I deliver my goods or services. Instead, these customers agree to pay me later. Let's go back to the Revenues chart by customers. Click on a specific customer to drill down into detailed revenue information for that customer. For example, let's click on Customer Business Limited C. This chart categorizes the revenue I generated from a specific customer, in this example, Customer Business Limited C, into finished goods and services. Let's click on Sales Finished Goods. This chart categorizes my finished good revenue from this customer into specific products I sold, for example, laptop, smartphone, TV, etc. Let's click on the customer's name shown on top of the chart, to go back to the previous chart. Let's click on the Sales Services segment in the Revenues chart to view detailed sales information on the services I sold to this specific customer. In this chart, we categorize the services sold to this particular customer into categories such as printing, software, and web design. Notice the significant portion labeled Not Specified. This occurs because I didn't complete the management data in the optional input fields when using the Add Transaction button. The less data I enter, the fewer insights I obtain from PROFITIZE charts. The lesson here is clear. To gain more valuable insights from the charts, it's crucial to diligently enter as much information as possible. Now, let's scroll down to the Cash In chart. Click on the Cash In chart to view detailed information on my cash sales by customer. Let's click on the section of the Cash In chart labeled Customer Business Limited C to drill down and view detailed information on the cash received from this customer by date. Now, let's scroll down to the Accounts Receivables chart. In the Accounts Receivables chart, as an example, let's click on the slice representing Customer Business Limited C to analyze my credit sales by accounts receivables due date. This completes our analysis of my sales revenue by product, cash sales, credit sales, and receivables due date by customer. Now, let's click on the Suppliers button to start analyzing my purchase data by product and supplier and more. Click on the Date Filter drop-down to select a date range for filtering the data. For example, let's select this year from the Date Filter drop-down to filter the data for the current year. Click on the Suppliers drop-down to select specific suppliers for filtering the data. For example, let's select the checkbox for all suppliers to include all my suppliers. The Purchases chart categorizes my purchases by each supplier. Hover over various sections of this chart to display the amount of purchase and the percent of total purchases from each of my suppliers. Now, let's click on the section in the chart showing my purchases from Supplier Limited A. This Purchases chart categorizes my purchases of goods and materials from Supplier Limited A. Let's click on the section in the chart showing my purchases of goods from Supplier Limited A. This purchases chart shows my purchases of goods or finished goods from Supplier Limited A, categorized by product, like laptops, smartphones, USB cables, etc. Now, let's click on Supplier Limited A above this chart to go back to the previous chart. Here, let's click on the Materials section within the Purchases chart to view detailed information on the types of materials or raw materials I purchased from Supplier Limited A. This chart categorizes my purchases of materials or raw materials from Supplier Limited A, like paper, bubble wrap, cardboard boxes, etc. Let's click on Purchases above this chart to go back to the previous chart. Now, scroll down to the Cash Out chart. This cash out chart categorizes my cash purchases of materials or raw materials from each supplier. Let's click on Supplier Limited A in the cash out chart to drill down into specific cash outflows related to this supplier. This cash out chart categorizes my cash payments to Supplier Limited A by payment date. Hover over various sections of this chart to display the amount I paid and the % of my total payments on a specific date to Supplier Limited A. Now, scroll down to the Accounts Payables chart. This Accounts Payables chart categorizes my accounts payables, meaning the amounts I owe to my suppliers. Let's click on the section Supplier Limited A within this chart to see the amounts I owe to this supplier and their due dates. This completes our training on using the Customers and Suppliers buttons in PROFITIZE Dashboards tab. In a separate video in the PROFITIZE YouTube training library, we will explain how to use the Cashbox feature to quickly and accurately manage your daily cash balance and detect if cash is missing. In a separate video in the PROFITIZE YouTube training library, we will explain how to use the cash flow feature to quickly and accurately visualize your cash inflows, cash outflows, and net cash flows on a daily, weekly, monthly, or yearly basis. In a separate video in the PROFITIZE YouTube training library, we will demonstrate how to use the inventory feature to efficiently and accurately track your net inventory of finished goods and raw materials by integrating with your digital inventory management system. If you don't use a digital inventory management system, you can still track your gross inventory position and adjust your inventory when you do a physical count for your inventory. In this video, you learned how to use the Customers and Suppliers buttons in PROFITIZE Dashboard tab. For more training videos, visit PROFITIZE YouTube channel.